CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Premier Christy Clark says she's rounding up her A-team and she's getting ready to dig deep for the answers about potential risks of the Northern Gateway Pipeline. Leading that team will be former BC Attorney General Jeff Plant, who will serve as the province's chief legal strategist at the pipeline hearings. Those hearings are currently underway in Edmonton, and there'll be follow-up sessions in Prince George and Prince Rupert. The proposed pipeline would run through hundreds of kilometres of BC's natural habitat. Clark says Plant will be asking the review panel all the tough questions she wants answered.
He's going to be making sure that we get the answers to the questions that we need, because I know that for British Columbians and for me, the impact of this pipeline is vitally important. And there really is no price that we can put on the protection of our environment.
The cross-examination on behalf of the province at this stage of the hearing is primarily focused on issues relating to Enbridge's financial and corporate capacity to make good the consequences of a disastrous spill.
The NDP's environment critic says the Liberals had plenty of time to announce the legal strategist, but they chose today, the day of the Enbridge cross-examinations, to do it.
It's just a symptom of, the government has been behind for 2 years now that this process has been going on. They've had a deliberate policy of hiding their intentions, misrepresenting British Columbians and failing to show up. They missed the deadline to present evidence to the National Energy Board. So now British Columbia is not able to present closing arguments, and they've announced the hiring of Jeff Plant so late in the process that one has to wonder, what difference is this going to make?
The NDP says the province is doing the bare minimum to stop the pipeline from hitting the ground. The Premier says so far she has failed to convince her Alberta counterpart to share the economic benefits of the pipeline fairly with BC. If you tried to make a phone call today, tried using your TELUS or Bell cell phone downtown in Victoria, you were likely left with no signal or with spotty coverage at best, and there may have been panic washing over your face as you felt like you'd maybe been transported back to the Stone Age. We're so hooked on our cell phones these days. TELUS says it lost service to 2 of its towers this morning, one of them in downtown Victoria and another in Esquimalt. Technicians were brought in to fix the problem. The company says the route is connected to a faulty piece of hardware.
We traced the trouble to a piece of hardware called a card inside one of our switches in the Victoria area. We need to put a new card in there that's being brought to the site now and will be replaced.
I haven't had any service anywhere but right here today. I'm actually working in the mall, and I have to come out here on my breaks and sit right here to get all of my text messages and make phone calls.
I mean, it's good that it happens sometimes, I think, so people can realize that, value the normal day-to-day, face-to-face conversations, right?
The good news for you Bell and TELUS customers is that cell phone service was restored about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Well, the mystery of the cremated remains that were found on a trail in Nanaimo has now been solved. You might recall last Friday night on CTV News, Chandler Grieve brought you the story of how a box with the name Donald Simpson had been found in the backwoods near Nanaimo. It was turned over to RCMP, and they discovered that the box contained Simpson's cremated remains. After having no luck in tracking down Simpson's family, RCMP put out a plea to help that we brought you. A woman who was watching the news that night recognized the name and orchestrated a reunion.
Yeah, the Nanaimo RCMP would like to thank the media for the attention they gave to this case. As a result of the coverage, a neighbor had been watching the news, and she saw the fact that we were looking for somebody who knew Mr. Simpson. She recognized the name and knew it was her neighbor from in the year 2004. She did some research and located his wife, who's living in Ontario. And she contacted her. She confirmed that the ashes were indeed missing. And as a result of that, we've been able to return the ashes back to her.
Still not clear how Donald Simpson's remains ended up on the trail. Police say it's possible that the box carrying the ashes was stolen during his widow's move or might have accidentally been left behind. The man who was accused in the deadly shooting at the Parti Québécois victory party this week now faces 16 criminal charges, including 1 count of first-degree murder. Richard Bain appeared in court today. In addition to the murder charge, he faces 3 counts of attempted murder and a number of charges relating to the transport and storage of guns and ammunition. None of those counts against him relate to a possible assassination attempt against the PQ leader Pauline Marois, although there is a theory that that is exactly what he had in mind. Police are continuing to investigate. Well, our province's highest honor has been bestowed on 14 British Columbians, including a former premier and prime minister. 14 provincial and community leaders who have worked in politics, religion and business were invested into the Order of British Columbia today. Former BC Premier Dave Barrett, former Prime Minister Kim Campbell, astronaut Robert Thirsk and world-class swimmer Marion Lay were among the recipients. The Lieutenant Governor says he is so proud of our province and our people.
And if we are living in the greatest place on earth, it's not just because of the resources that we have, the beautiful scenery that we enjoy. It's because generation after generation of British Columbians have made this province what it is. It's not just been one person, it's been a collective effort.
Premier Christy Clark was also at the ceremony today. She told the people who had gathered that the inductees are remarkable British Columbians who have improved the quality of life in our province. Now in Nanaimo, where the SPCA has temporarily shut down its doors and its facilities, shutting its doors, that is, due to an outbreak of ringworm. The Nanaimo Animal Shelter says it's taking all precautions after discovering several kittens suffering from the disease. The infected cats had been abandoned and dropped off at the shelter a few weeks ago. Ringworm is a fungal skin infection that can spread rapidly, so the SPCA says it's taking all steps it can to protect other animals and people.
Once we realized that that was in the shelter, we decided to close everything down and put our biosecurity protocols into order, and we've had to close. We can't bring any other animals in, and we can't let any animals out until we're done testing all of the animals. So we're doing weekly culture testing with the animals and also bi-weekly medical baths to make sure that they're okay. And once all the cultures come back and we see that there isn't a massive infection or that any infection that we do have is under control, then we can look at maybe opening.
More than 80 animals live at the shelter. They're still there, but they've been quarantined. It's going to be several weeks before the SPCA in Nanaimo reopens. Until then, stray dogs can be turned into Coastal Animal Services. Their number's on your screen. And if you come across a cat, the SPCA asks that you just take it to a nearby vet. Victoria police have now captured a dangerous fugitive at large. 22-year-old Desmond White was arrested just after 5 o'clock this afternoon in Esquimalt. They found him in the backseat of a vehicle during a routine traffic stop. It was just earlier this afternoon that officers swarmed the 2500 block of Wark Street in Victoria after a patrol officer had come face to face with the fugitive. Despite the quick action, White was able to run away. Police had been searching for him since he disappeared from a halfway house in Surrey a few weeks ago. Update now on that brush fire we first told you about on CTV News at 5. We have the first pictures back from the scene. This is in Saanich. Saanich fire crews had to go to great lengths to douse the flames, which ignited near Pipeline Road late this afternoon. Firefighters had to call for backup as the fire was in an area that was hard to reach. Fire crews had to cross a creek and go up a hill before they got close enough to the flames to fight them.
When we arrived, there was no wind, which was good, which is in our favor. And when the flames were about actually creeping up the trees, so we're up about 20 feet, and we had a spot before, like I said, 40 feet by 60 feet. And it took us a while to set up because to go through the little creek and back up the other side. So we were actually fighting the fire in about 5 minutes from arrival time.
The fire is now out. Crews are mopping up any hot spots that might still remain. Here's a question before we wrap up this half hour. How far would you go to add a little sparkle to your finger, or maybe the finger of the one you love? A competition is going to be heating up in the capital region where brides-to-be or couples looking to get engaged will go to great lengths to score a diamond ring. Participants will be racing against the clock and other couples to win a shiny rock from Armini Jewelers to officially seal the deal. The contest is going to have couples running around downtown and in and out of businesses while completing different challenges. Organizers say if you'd like the chance to win the ring, this one, get ready to put your love on the line.
So the guys and the girls have to bring their A game. Guys just can't show up to a wedding anymore and just kind of stand there. If they think that's going to happen, that's going to earn them the ring. They got another thing coming because these challenges are going to test them, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we don't want to tell you too much what the challenges are, so we don't want you to practice, but they will be challenges that will be connected to wedding, something to do with a wedding. They'll do dresses or making up decorations or tasting things.
The contest takes place September 15th. It'll be featured on a reality TV show called The Proposal. If you'd like to find out more about Victoria's race for the ring, you can go to theweddingring.com. Well, students in Nanaimo are back to their books, and thanks to a huge community campaign, they have all the school supplies they need. The Stock the Lockers campaign wrapped up with a celebration barbecue in Diana Krall Plaza today. And on the final day, organizers worked to raise the final money needed to reach their goal of $50,000. The money goes to the Nanaimo Ladysmith Schools Foundation to buy school supplies for children in need.
It's been amazing. The community that has stepped up and the support that we've got is absolutely amazing. I'm very confident we are going to reach our target if we don't exceed it. We won't know until next week, till all the final tallies are in, but it's been amazing.
The Nanaimo Ladysmith School District has one of the highest rates of child poverty in the province. The Harbour City is battling an alien invasion of the horticultural kind. Invasive plants are weaving their way through parks and gardens, even sidewalks, and the city is asking for your help to fight them off. Nanaimo's Environmental Planning Department is looking for ideas from you about ways to ward off the rapidly spreading species. The city is conducting a survey online, finding out how neighborhoods are being affected and what people suggest to do about it. The city wants to have a plan in place by next year.
Going to give us some decision-making tools on how we can use our resources and work with our volunteers more effectively to deal with invasive plants. I think we know that it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue across the province, and the city wants to take some effective action, but needs a little bit more public input on invasive plants that you're seeing, the public is seeing as a concern.
If you'd like to take part in the survey, visit nanaimo.ca.